Welcome, everyone. My name is Katie Warren. I'm with the Washington State Association of Head Start and ECAP, and we are doing a series of webinars for parents and staff. And we got a lot of questions about from families and from family support staff around the challenges when people are losing their jobs and trying to navigate the new system. And so we reached out to Devin Stubblefield, who is our all-time favorite financial coach. He has done many trainings for our parents and at our conferences, and I will let Devin take it away. Thank you, Devin.
All right. Thank you, Katie. Really appreciate being here. And also thanks to you, Joel, and the whole organization for calling on me to come and to have a discussion today about this. And I want to say hello to everyone. Good afternoon. And this is going to be kind of informal. I want this to be a good discussion about how we're responding to the current situation in terms of the financial impact of COVID-19. Obviously, it's hitting our families in a major way. And what I'd like to say is that, let's just take a moment to just breathe and really take in what all of this means. And I'm going to do my best for the time that we have allotted today to share with you some insights. And I'm going to give you a recommendation of how you can think through how you prioritize during this pandemic. And so this is really designed to help you to think through what's going to be best for you and your family. And so I'm just going to progress along. And if you have a question, we'll certainly have opportunity at the end to do a Q&A. But if something comes up during the course of what you see here on the screen, then certainly, by all means, type something in chat, a question, a comment, whatever it is that you want to do, and we'll see it and I'll respond. And if for some reason, if I miss a question or a comment, Katie, if you don't mind, just kind of nudge me a little bit and say, we have a comment from so-and-so that I missed, and I'll be happy to do that.
Sure, will do.
All right, cool, thank you. All right, so we're just gonna get going. And first of all, let me say this, and this is really from the bottom of my heart, we're in this together. And I want to say to you, just as I do to the people that I care about, my family and my friends and people that I have been talking to over Zoom since we've been on this stay-at-home shelter, I want to say thank you to you for fighting every day and to protect and nurture your families. Nobody expected what we're going through right now. And so I just want to take a moment to just, let's just acknowledge each other and the effort that everyone's putting in regards to how we're responding and all the adjustments that we have to make emotionally, intellectually, even physically, with not even shaking hands with our own family members and things like that, not even hugging like we used to. I mean, it is a tremendous adjustment. And so I think sometimes just taking a moment just to reflect on the human side of all this and to say, you know what, we still are people, we love each other, and we want what's best for each other. And so folks, keep fighting every day for that. So I just wanted to start out with that. And so here it is. We have the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act. And you've heard a lot about this over the last several weeks. I mean, it's constantly in front of us. And I just want to say a few things about this, and then we'll continue on. First of all, if you know someone that is obviously needing to file for unemployment, please encourage them not to get discouraged about the website being down, hard to get through on the phone. I mean, that is all true. I mean, it's definitely tough. We are experiencing here, I believe, something like 10 times the amount of unemployment claims in the state of Washington from this time last year. And so the system's overwhelmed. And even in my family, I had one of my relatives just really distraught because he couldn't get through. And I just said, hey, let's just do it at a different time. Let's do it at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's see how many people are on the internet at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's do it online. And we were able to do that. But what I had to do, though, was just to kind of just help him to remember that it's really about him just still staying connected to what's important to him. And I know that him getting that unemployment filed was important. So we just have to find a different way to approach it. So I want to share that with you, with all of you, in terms of if you know somebody, or if someone is just really kind of frustrated, just as we talked about, giving them that love and just encouraging them to just take it easy. The next thing, the Paycheck Protection Program, you may have heard yesterday that this program completely has been exhausted. And I know that that's going to impact a lot of people who were applying for that. And I hope that there's going to be some sort of answer to this by the government. And those who applied for it, if you got in, great. If you didn't get it, then, let's just keep trying and see if there's other things that are coming. Then the recovery rebate, the stimulus, and lots of people got their stimulus on the 15th, direct deposit. But I found today, literally, it just blew me away, that there's some reports that some people did not get their direct deposit because the deposit amount or the account that it was supposed to be deposited in was not theirs. So there's a challenge right now with the system where lots of people have been reporting that the accounts that they saw when they checked on their status was not an account that was related to them. And so the official response is that the banks will reject and send back to the IRS any deposits that were not matched to the name perfectly. So those people will eventually get it right, but I know that it's frustrating for a lot of people. But the good thing about it is if you are eligible for the money, great, fantastic. I want to dispel a myth really quickly here because I heard this yesterday. I was on another Zoom and someone asked the question if they had to pay back the stimulus money, and the answer is absolutely not. But there are some myths out there around that. And so what I want to say to everybody that is yours. Once you are eligible and you get it, whether it's through direct deposit or through a paper check that will be coming in a few weeks, then it's yours. Okay, that's what it's for, and it's all good. Okay? So just wanted to say that. Now, going forward here, now if we look at the big picture, and this is what I want everyone to think about, and I'm going to give you a framework that I'd like for you to consider during this time, because I know that we are going through a lot. And so first of all, I want to say this. I want to give everyone here on the line an opportunity just to kind of express what you're feeling right now. Okay, so if you are okay with it, just type in the chat to say, hey, I'm feeling great, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling stressed, whatever it is. So if you're in the chat, just kind of give me an idea of how you're feeling about the financial impact that you've experienced. You don't have to say what it is or what you're specifically going through, but just how you feel. So I'm looking for you all to do that. So let's take a moment to do that, if you don't mind. Okay, Liliana says stress and worry. Okay, yes, thank you, Liliana. Anyone else? Alejandro says, okay. Carmel, stress and worry. Chantel, at first was very nervous, but now I'm a little less stressed. Joel, I'm worried about the families we support and advocate for. Yes. Leilani is uncertain. Katie is overwhelmed, productive, and sad. Melissa, trying to roll with it. Yes. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're all of the above. Everybody's answer was spot on. Absolutely. Because it's really about, how we're processing everything. And I think before I get into the specifics about what to do or what to consider, we just have to also think about this side of it. And thank you, Margarita, for saying coping with it one day at a time. Yes, Teresa, stress, worry, anxiety, feeling limited since working from home. Yes, I think we're all feeling it, being at home so much. And one hand is good, but on the other hand, you kind of want to go somewhere. But I get it. But thank you so much. So here's something that I want you all to consider, okay, as we think about these realities. Number one is come to an understanding about your new financial reality. No one really knows what the new normal is going to be. We don't know. Nobody does. It's just right now, it's a best guess. We hope that when we're all able to get back into the place where we were, our daily routines and doing the things we love to do, but we really don't know what that's going to mean. And so what I want you to think about, well, what does it mean to me right now? And always keep that perspective, because I mean, you can watch the news until you get sick of it, right? I mean, this it's all there. You can actually get opinions, you can get all these different commentaries and things, but at the end of the day, it's about how you feel about your own financial situation. And so whatever you have to do to put yourself in a place where you can really say, okay, this is what this means to me, this is what this means for my family, okay, and then work with it from there. So come to an understanding. The next one, settle on a crisis budget to prioritize your spending in the most appropriate manner. And I got to tell you, folks, there's no really right way to budget when we're in a crisis.
On my phone right now. I'm going to do that.
Okay. There's really no right way to do that. It's really about, what you think is going to be best for your family. Now, sure, I'm going to give everyone some ideas and some frameworks to go by, but really it's about you. Again, thinking about what everything means to you, and then also prioritizing in a manner that's most appropriate for you. Okay, so again, and I'm going to say this, I want you to really put you and your family, your household, at front and center. So what is the best thing for your household? And then learn about all the different help that's available that can specifically benefit you. I know, and I'm going to give you a resource today as we finish up this slide deck. I'll show you where you can go get all the different resources that are currently available. But I want you to think about, again, from this perspective, getting an understanding about what it means to you, figuring out a budget that you can stick with that's going to be really relevant for you and your family, and then finally looking at what kinds of resources that can benefit specifically you. You don't have to apply for everything, because everything might not be relevant, or you might not be eligible for everything. But what I want you to do is find out what you are eligible for and then go for it if you haven't already. And so the first thing I want to do is this. For some of you who understand trauma-informed care, I'm going to bring in the 5 principles of trauma-informed care as it relates to our finances. And so we'll start out with our mindset. Okay, so I'm going to give you this. And the first mindset is always think safety. So when having financial conversations with your family, do your best to stay calm and comfortable. Keep the conversation as casual as possible, as informal, and just say, hey, okay, this is what it is. Keep everybody safe in terms of the conversation. Sure, there's going to be a lot of anxiety around what's not happening and the lack and the reduction of the money and all this stuff. Yeah, we're all dealing with that. But as you think about how you're going to be talking to other parents or other family members, or even to yourself, okay, let's do our best to have these uncomfortable conversations around it so that we don't add to the anxiety that we all are feeling. And then the next area here is choice. When making decisions, I cannot emphasize this enough. Choose what feels right for you and your family, and then what's right for your money, in that order. So what I mean by that is I want you to think about what's the priority here in my home. What is going to be the best way that I could help make sure that my family is okay? That's your filter. Because at the end of the day, the people that are depending upon you, the people that are really just not in a mindset where they can figure things out, somebody has to step up and be the leader, but at the same time, be the leader that says, I'm leading and I'm making decisions with all of us together that's going to work for everybody. And that's what I'm saying here. Make sure that we talk about what's right for us, for our family, and then we'll figure the money thing out, okay? And the next one's empowerment. Okay, notice what you and your family can do to contribute and okay with it. Okay, in other words, we're not looking at what we can't do. Let's look at what we can do. no matter how big or small it is. Let's be okay with it and let everybody within your family and your household feel that whatever their contribution is, that's cool. That's cool. Which means that now we have to move into a place of collaboration where we're making financial decisions that are in the best interest of the entire family. And whatever that means to you, that's what we do. Okay. And then finally, trustworthiness. Make sure to get a clear, consistent information that you can convey to your family. In other words, make sure that when you're kind of trying to sort through all the different things and the things that are coming out, the things that you're hearing, and then you communicate that to your loved ones, make sure that you do it in a manner that they can really understand it, so that now, at least within the confines of your household, we have this trustworthiness around the finances. And so those are some things I want to offer you to really think about when we're thinking about how we can communicate and how we can keep our family, in the best frame of mind around these financial issues. All right, so I'm going to introduce to you now a 3-part work that you can consider to do when it comes to prioritizing how you manage your finances right now. And the first one is, I want you to think about prioritizing what matters most. And it's really simple. It's your housing, your shelter, your food, utilities, medical, prescriptions, medicine, whatever you need to keep the body going. Transportation, of course, we got to get around, cell phone, and childcare. This is what I call first level priority, because what this is all about keeping your lifestyle intact, keeping home still feeling like home. And that's very important in this season, because we all know that, as we just mentioned, trauma's going on, stress levels are high, anxiety, nobody really knows, when this is going to come out. And I love what Melissa said, and I missed this earlier. She says, I love the safety first. Yes, it's about being safe. And so what happens here, if we are moving with our family and we're saying to the family, we are going to make sure that we have what matters most to all of us. Okay, these things here, before we talk about, where we send our money, what bills we pay, what debt we kind of deal with. No. Let's work with these things here. Now, I do have a resource for you, and notice at the bottom of the screen it says, talk to a HUD certified housing counselor about mitigating the impact of not being able to afford these essential expenses. So if you find yourself in a place where, you just don't see a way that you can even do these things, then you can definitely go to HUD.gov, HUD's website, and you can actually speak to, you can actually research a housing counselor in our, we have a lot of HUD certified housing counselors in the state of Washington. And going to HUD's website will make sure that you get the entire list of who all they are, and then just simply call them up. It's a free phone call. They do free counseling, and they are actually trained to be able to talk to you about these things. So that's your first level priority. Again, keeping our lifestyle intact. And so I'm going to give you a few things about that. First of all, again, if there's a need for unemployment benefits, go for it. Next thing is contact your banks and lenders. Okay, this is where it gets a little interesting. Banks right now are doing exactly what I was hoped that they would do, which is they try to work with their customers. You go in and you talk about things like your account, okay? Remember those monthly service fees, even payment deferrals on some of your accounts that you may have with the bank. Like, for example, you might have a credit card with them or a car loan. Ask about payment deferrals. And if for some reason during this time period that your account went negative for a reason, then they are actually giving overdraft fees. But these are the kinds of conversations that I'm suggesting that you have with your banks, okay, and your lenders. Then how about this? Triage your finances. Now, this might be a little tough, but I think that it will do some good in terms of canceling all non-essential expenses. Now, you may not think that you might have non-essential expenses, and I know that since we're all at home, we're not spending as much as we would if we were able to get out. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through your bank statements for the last, let's just say the last 2 months. let's go back to March and February, just right around when this thing really just got bad for us. And I want you to think about some of the things on your bank statements and consider some of the expenses that you were spending on that you really can, do without going forward. And the reason why I'm saying go to your bank statements is because if you're using your debit card for lots of your purchases, that sort of thing, then it's keeping track, really. I mean, it's a great tool to raise your own awareness on your habits. And here's the thing, if you take a highlighter and you highlight everything that you spent on that you believe you and your family can do without over the next couple of months going forward, okay? And the reason why I'm saying, again, the bank statement is because that's history. And you can probably think of things that you may have paid for in cash, and that's okay too. Okay, and Melissa says, fast food, I'm guilty. And I'm glad to say that because let me tell you something, I seriously thought that even my family was going to save a lot of more money since we're all at home, but my daughter is like Uber Eats. And so now, and I'm not knocking Uber Eats and DoorDash and all those places that deliver to your home, but you're paying service fees if they're not waiving them, or delivery fees if they're not waiving them. And the point is you end up paying more for what you would have bought, if you could have got it yourself. Oh, so anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that, yeah, it's our need for connection and instant gratification. Yeah, absolutely. But think about what are some of those things that we can do without the non-essential stuff. Now, it doesn't have to be permanent. It could just be through the time period that we're kind of going through this process right now. Okay. Teresa says Dutch Brothers. Okay. Absolutely. Right. And Chantel says you've saved so much money for not eating fast food. We used to always eat fast food. Absolutely. So that's the silver lining in this. I love that, because what can happen is now we're creating different habits, right? We're creating better habits, more healthier habits by cooking everything, or maybe making sure that we cook most of the meals that we consume. Awesome, good stuff. The next one is tap into community resources. So you know that there's, obviously we have local food banks, we have 211. Tap into whatever community resources that can help fill the need wherever your household needs it. You call 211 and see what's out there and see how you can get some additional help. And then finally, apply for short-term help. As I mentioned before, some of the programs that are out there. But in addition to the government and state programs, there are lots of organizations and companies that are saying, hey, we're going to step in and we're going to do some help for the community. And so there's some emergency loans and grants that are available that you can get. And so I just want to say that this is how we keep our lifestyle intact. We do these things so that we can really maintain that sense of well-being that we all want to protect. So let's talk about the next level. Okay, so this is our second level priorities. Now this is about your taxes. Now I know that we don't have state income tax here in Washington, but we may have parents or families that are doing things as a small business owner, them stay-at-home businesses, all that, and they're paying taxes to the Washington State Department of Commerce, okay? So do what you have to do to contact them and to see what kinds of remedies that they're offering right now for small business owners if you have a business. Child support, I got to say that there isn't relief from child support, which is great because child support is still being mandatory for people unless there's some sort of administrative order that says differently. But you should still, if you're receiving child support, you still should receive it. Now, again, you can consult with the Division of Child Support about that. But I'm just saying that for people that are looking to receive it, then you still should be receiving it. And people that have to pay it, you still have to pay it. That's from everything I've seen. There's not any remedies for that. Now, insurances, I got to say this. If you haven't heard from your insurance company, like automobile insurance, your renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, if you haven't heard from them yet, I want you to do that the next opportunity you get and ask them if they are giving any type of refunds or rebates for the insurance policies. They're definitely doing it on automobile policies because we're not driving. We're not going anywhere. Our cars are sitting outside, right? So for those of you who are paying automobile insurance, you could be getting a refund check, at least for the month of April and May, from your insurance companies. Now, because they also understand that we are under the stay-at-home order. And so some companies have already stepped up and started reaching out to their customers about getting refunds for what they call unused insurance premiums. And so that could be some extra money that could come back into your home. Now, I'm not suggesting that you cancel your policy. Do not cancel your automobile insurance. I'm simply stating, ask your insurance providers to tell you what are the refunds that they're giving because you're not driving as much, and they will walk you through that process. But these are the second level expenses, these things that can have serious consequences if you fail to pay them, because we don't want to create any type of other jeopardy if we stop making payments on these things and then we say, okay, well, they know we're in a crisis. Well, you just can't stop. You got to have some communication. And so that's why I say at the bottom, call each of these agencies and ask about what kinds of relief options are available to you. So just simply do that. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, this is your third level priorities. This is now we're getting into your credit cards, student loans, personal loans, payday loans, things like this. Now, I can say this. If your credit card companies have not reached out to you, make the phone call. See if they are willing to work with you, especially if you know that you're having a reduced budget, not a lot of extra going on, and you can't afford the minimum payment, then ask them what are their remedies. Don't give them any suggestions, just ask them what the remedy. Let them tell you how they are helping their customers with their credit card accounts. And they'll come up with a list of things. They could do things like defer interest or make your card go to 0% interest for a period of time, or they could forbear your payments. I mean, they could do whatever they want. But what I want you to do is make sure that you call them and you ask them what the deal is. Now, in terms of student loans, okay, if you have a federal student loan, you know that, if you don't know, you're going to find out right now, that if you have a federal student loan, those payments have all been expended until September 30th, 2020. Now, but that's if your student loans are federal. If your student loans are private, different story, okay? So there's no guarantee that the private student loan holders are going to do anything. I mean, right now, under the CARES Act, it covers the federal stuff. But if you have a student loan that's with some other company or it's held by a bank or a guarantee agency, it might not fall under the umbrella of the CARES Act. So I just want to be very clear on that, okay? But there is a possibility that it could have some sort of remedy for you. But again, make the phone call. But if you're in a federal student loan, you know that it's all good, okay? Now, here is the next one. Personal loans, okay? Personal loans. Now, this is where that conversation with your bank comes in, or whoever you have your personal loan with. You want to give them a call. Now, here's what's interesting. And I'm going to share with you on the next slide some information that's going to really tell you about what kind of credit report benefits you're going to get under the CARES Act, which I think is amazing. I'm glad that they thought of going that deep into the credit reports, because nobody wants their credit report to have all these late payments on it when it wasn't your fault that money got cut off and you're late. So there is some provisions, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But here's the thing, personal loans and payday loans. Now, I got to say this, again, it's just about making the phone call, staying in touch. So as you see at the bottom of the screen, I say, prepare for a very candid conversation with creditors and tell it like it is. Don't hold back, and don't make promises that you're not sure that you can keep. You can ask them to reduce your payments and to put them on pause. Now, the official name for putting a payment to a creditor on pause is called a special forbearance. I know that's not an easy word, but special forbearance. You ask them for a special forbearance. My situation is such that I can't afford to pay you right now. Matter of fact, I don't know when I'm going to be able to pay you based on my budget and what we're going through. So I'm asking you for a special forbearance on my account. What are my options? That's exactly what you say. And they will know how to respond to you. Now, if they say to you that, okay, we can suspend your payment this month, but you got to make it next month, that's okay. So whatever type of relief that they're going to give you, you're good with it, right? Because it's better than not having the conversation and then being stressed out about what's going on with them, okay? So for our third level priorities, we're having conversations. We're asking them to help us. In other words, you're just saying, hey, I need it. Tell me what's up. Boom. But you're not making promises. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not make any promises. And even if the creditor says, well, we need to get an idea from you when you think you can pay, you don't know. Unless you do know. Now, if you know when you are able to rebound financially and things get back to a normal, then fine. But if you cannot legitimately say with all certainty that you can resume payments in June, if you can't say that, then tell them, I don't know. It's okay. It's okay to say, I don't know, because they understand that that's where everybody's in the same boat here. It's just a matter of whether or not you are going to be able to make the conversation and ask the special pause or the special forbearance. Now, I want to say this. There is another thing. Now, this is interesting, and you guys may have seen this. There was a person that indicated that Comcast, Xfinity, actually came and restored services on an account that was already temporarily shut off. And I can tell you that I know that from talking to a lot of people that so far, it seems like Comcast has been working with people on their bills. And so that's another thing. That Comcast isn't a creditor, but Comcast is one of those monthly things that we like to pay for if we want that sort of thing. But again, it's about the conversation. Okay, it's about the conversation. All right, so I'm going to go to the next one. So here it is. Now, again, keeping it real about our third level priorities. First of all, estimate, and I want you to do this in your mind. Get out a piece of paper and your calculator and estimate how much you can pay and when you can pay it, if you can. And then if you have to, negotiate your payment dates, interest rates, and late fees. If your creditor is like, okay, well, we need to do something, then extend the payments out as far down into the year as possible. Ask them to reduce the rate to 0 if they can, and ask them to waive all late fees. Okay, why not? Right? Just ask them, see what they say. And then now here's what's interesting. If you make an arrangement, and let's say we go down further into the year and things are still kind of tight, just make another arrangement. And that's what I'm suggesting that you do. Follow through, but you do what you say you're going to do, but then make another call and establish a new arrangement. That's what we do. All right. So anyway, I hope this is really helping you guys out. I'm just giving you some very concrete things. And again, you're not going to surprise any of your creditors when you're calling them, telling them what's going on. Basically, they're going to make the note on the account. It's actually responsible on your, and some of you probably already have done some of this. That's great, but keep doing it. Make it comfortable for you. Now, I promised you I would talk to you a little bit about credit. Okay, so here it is. Under the CARES Act, if you make an agreement with a creditor to defer one or more payments, and that is with a credit card, with a car loan, with any type of personal loan, or whatever you got with any creditor, if it shows up in your credit report, if the creditor makes an agreement with you to make a partial payment or to forbear any delinquent amounts, modify your loan, okay, or get any other assistance because you were affected by COVID-19, guess what? They cannot report the account as delinquent to the credit reporting agencies, okay? If you weren't already delinquent. So in other words, if your account was already in good standing and now you may feel like, okay, you need an arrangement made, when you're in this relief period, they're not reporting to the TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian that you're late. No, they can't do that under the CARES Act. Basically, it's just your status stays as it was before the pandemic happens. Now, here's the thing. You have to come to an agreement with the creditor first to avoid the adverse reporting. In other words, you have to make the connection back to what I was saying earlier. Make the phone call, have the conversation, make sure they make a note on your account. And once you get that verbal commitment to them that says, hey, you're good, no payments for 2 months, no interest for 3 months, whatever the case might be, that's all good. But make sure you write it down yourself, make a note of it, keep your own records. But here's the thing. If you are in an agreement, your credit report will be protected. So you're not going to see a drop in your credit scores while we're going through this. But you have to make the call. You have to set it up. So a little bit of work on your part to do it, but it's worth it in the end. Now, there is an exception, okay? And the exception is if you just stop making your payments because you're assuming that they've got a program that they're automatically going to put you on. Well, you know what? That's not going to work, okay? Because you could be subject to adverse reporting in that regard. So don't stop making your payments. Don't delay your payments or pay less than you're supposed to, okay? Unless you make an arrangement. Now, here's the deal. If you were already delinquent at the time of the agreement, now let's say that you called today and you say, I need some help. I need a special forbearance or a pause. But let's say your account was already in delinquent status from January and February, they can still report the January, February late payment. Okay, so I just want to be very clear that it doesn't mitigate delinquencies or negative information that happened prior to the pandemic. Okay, I just want to be very clear because I just don't want anybody to misinterpret this. So the CARES Act helps your credit from the time that we officially started the CARES at this whole time period and going forward. But anything prior to that, they still can report. Now, notice it says in the case of a charge-off, the creditor may continue to report it as a charge-off. A charge-off is when the creditor has determined that they cannot collect from you. And that's actually the worst credit rating they can put on your report. And it basically says we're charging it off and we're writing it off as a bad debt. So what happens is if you have one of those, they can still report that going forward, even if they put you into a program to cease all your payments. So I just want to let you know, not to confuse you, but if you have a charge off, then that's when that's going to apply. So, all right. So I know I just shared a lot with you all, and so I'm almost done. I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to open it up for questions, okay? So you're saying, okay, Dev, I get all that, but how can I save money, okay? So here's the thing. Here's what I want you to think about. Find the balance between getting what you need versus how much you're going to pay for it. Now, you guys already know, you've heard about the horror stories that some of the online retailers and some of the people, the third-party vendors, are just like price gouging. So the point is this. I don't want anyone to pay more than what you think is fair for any item that you're buying online from anybody. But here's the thing. How can you save money? Well, think about, again, getting back to what we said at the beginning about our families, what's important to them, making sure everybody's needs are being met. So think about the balance between what you need. What do we need to handle our financial well-being? Then we have to think about, well, how much is our financial well-being going to cost during COVID-19? And then make your decisions. And if you can cut corners and spend less on an area. So for example, and you guys know this, I know you guys are already savvy shoppers when it comes to taking care of your family, but anywhere else that you can cut corners and get something for, $10 less or $20 less or half off, whatever it is, that's the kind of thing that we want to get really good at right now. And here's my challenge to you. If you find that you can save money by just changing your shopping habits online and what you would have paid for something that you need versus what you can get it for now, I challenge you to put the difference into your savings account. So for example, if you typically buy a certain amount of type of food or something for your house, and you typically buy that at a certain dollar amount, but now you're doing all this shopping because you have more time and you're finding where you can save a little bit, And you do that for a number of items in your budget. And then you just do it on paper. Say, okay, I was paying this, but now I can pay this. And then what I want you to do is, in your mind, take that savings difference and then put that into an account somewhere and just pay yourself what you would have paid for that item, even after you have found the savings. The difference between the savings price and the price that you would have paid, take that, put it away somewhere, and allow your savings to grow even in the pandemic. So that's just something, if you can do that, that would be fantastic. Okay. Now, so again, it's got to feel right. Again, remember, it's all about what's going to work for us. Again, it's all about well-being. Assess what really feels right to you and then do that. And if you can cut some expenses, eliminate others, and then really find where you can save, and then really do save it, put the money away, then that is going to be a real positive outcome by the time we get over this. Wouldn't it be awesome if your savings balance, like saving gas on gas money, right? Because we're not driving. How much did you spend every week on gas money? Thanks, Barbara, for that example. Yes, gas money. So $30 a week. You're not doing that no more. Put that money away, if you can. So it's just a shift of how we think about things. So awesome. I really appreciate you all. And finally, here is a resource. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, I want to say you might want to bookmark this page on your computer or your smartphone or tablet, consumerfinance.gov/coronavirus. This agency is really amazing. And this page on their website, when you scroll down, it has a ton of resources. Every resource that is currently available anywhere in our country is on their website. And so you'll scroll through for a moment, but again, look for resources that are relevant to you and your family. No, someone says, is it all in English? No, I know it's probably hard to see, but in the navigation bar at the top, there are several languages here. What you do is you find the language that you want on the bar here, and then you click it and it will translate it for you. So yes, it is in several different languages. And if you don't find a language that you prefer, then what you can do is call the phone number and get someone on the line and ask them if they could give you the web address for it in your language, and they'll tell you. And the website is consumerfinance.gov/coronavirus. Okay. Again, this is the website to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This agency was put together strictly to help all of us, everyday average consumers, to be financially protected from scammers. And by the way, the scammers have come out the house. I can't even tell you how many people I have already heard saying that there were people calling them about, oh, I can help you get your stimulus money, which was totally bogus, right? You guys know that. But the point is that the scammers were actually getting real bold and contacting people, sending text messages, sending emails, phone calls. They're out there. And here's another resource. I didn't put this in the slide, but if you want to know, go to the Federal Trade Commission's website. I'm just going to put this in the chat, Federal Trade Commission. Go to their website, ftc.gov. Go to their website, and I'll tell you what, look for their information that they are putting out to the public about how you can avoid scammers in this particular season, because they're out with a vengeance right now. I'm telling you, it's just crazy how people are trying to take other people's money. But the point is that I just wanted to come on here. And again, I'm thanking Joel and Katie for allowing me to give you this information. And here we go. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. And now it's time to open it up for Q&A. So what are your questions? Feel free to type them in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and you can ask me live if you want. And I'm going to turn off my screen share. All right. Are there any resources? This is from Melissa right now for consolidating loans. That's a great question. You know, I think you have to call your bank right now, like your bank or your credit union, that would be your best option for that. They do that type of lending all the time. And I'm sure that right now they are offering low interest rate loans. As a matter of fact, I know that even for automobile loans right now, I mean, if you have a car note, and remember we talked about pausing them, why not ask for a refinance as well? I mean, if you're going to be asking, might as well ask for it all, right? Think about how you can actually ask your bank to actually give you a pause and a refinance. Right now, I saw yesterday that a major automobile GMC were offering 0% interest financing loans for cars. They say if you're in the crisis and you need transportation, then they wanted to help by offering 0% financing. I thought it was crazy. It was the most interesting commercial ever. And they said 0% financing for however many months. And I don't know what the down payment was, but I thought it was a great gesture for them to say, we're going to help people who need a car to get one during this time. Now, I know you can't go out and look for one right now unless you go on Carvana or some of the other apps. But the point is that I would say go to your local vendors, your local banks, credit unions to ask them about these kinds of things. And Kathy says, and this has been a lot of great info. Yes, Katie's going to be sharing the PowerPoint presentation after today. So yes, you guys can do this presentation for your groups totally. All right. Is there any other questions?
Devin, will you
Yes.
guys be doing this training for families by chance?
Sure. I mean, but they'll have the YouTube video is going to go up. You can send the families directly to the YouTube. Or Katie, what do you think on that?
Well, I actually had intended this to be for families and for a combination of families and staff who work with families. I'm not sure, Devin, would there be something different about the way that you would approach something that was specifically for parents?
No, I think it would be the exact same presentation, because this information that we did here is for everybody. So yeah.
So why don't we do this? We'll upload this to YouTube, and then if we get some follow-up questions and people want to do another sort of intro and then a Q&A, like for more questions as we go down the road in 3 weeks or something, we can talk about that then.
Katie?
Yeah?
Can I say something?
Yes.
So here in the Spanish line, and also I want to share with you because you may have a lot of family support people. So for undocumented families, there is a website that you can, it's hard for me to type in both, if you cannot type, is Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. It's WAISN. So they have some specific support only for undocumented families. At the beginning, they said that they won't ask for the status, but now they're finding out that a lot of people that are not undocumented are applying. So they want to make sure that they're targeting undocumented people. So right now, we're already distributing the money that they had. They're doing more funding. They're doing fundraising to more funding, but they're going to ask, when they make the phone calls, they're going to ask if the person is undocumented. And the reason why they're asking is because they want to make sure that that people can get money that have a social security, even though they have a part-time or whatever, they are going to receive support comparing with undocumented. So they have a hotline number that is on the website. And if families have questions, they can go ahead and call them. So yeah, I was sharing that information with the Spanish line.
Great, thank you very much, Maricela. That's great. Other questions, comments?
I was just going to ask, Marcella, is it for any undocumented families?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions? All right. So thank you so much, Devin. Honestly, I learned so much. I'm going to really highlight this for our folks out there and send it out so that because I think that you provided information that I just have not heard anywhere. And so I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone here does as well. Thanks so much.
Oh,
Can I say something else?
Yes.
This is Marisela. So there's a lot of fear because families without social security number, they are afraid of being targeted as a public charge if they ask for any kind of support. So from the call that I was yesterday, I just wanted to say that this organization, Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network, people are not going to be charged as a public charge. They are going to destroy the database once all these finish, all this crisis. So just to be aware that this is an agency that you can trust and send your families.
Great. Thank you, Maricela. I really appreciate that. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. And yeah, it'll be so much different than your regular week. You can, kick back at home like you do. Thank you so much, Devin.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Joel. Thanks to everyone. I really appreciate taking the time to share this with you all today, and it's all good. Just remember, it's about our financial wellness and family first, right?
Yeah.
That's the key. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Katie.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Katie, can you be there for a little bit?